Alright, hello and welcome to episode 19 of Minecraft. My name is Colin Gallagher, and this week I'm back again with an old friend, Adam Clarke. How you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, good.
Great. I was excited to hear from you last week, hearing all about coding in Minecraft because I've never done it, so you're dealing with a complete noob here. So if you've got a couple of things to show us, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, welcome to this world, and it's kind of a redstone ready world. Put it online as a place to do some experiments and to do some bits and pieces, and to get all those collaborators that around the world that I kind of need to steal ideas from. So let's go over here, and I'll show you what I did the other day. So we've got our teleportation stations. If you right click on Minecraft code, we'll go to the Minecraft code area.
Alright. Yeah,
Because
there
it
we
just
go.
should it didn't work earlier on and then it did start working, so I don't know whether it's the server just being a bit sluggish.
That's fine. Well, I'm here now, so that works.
Yeah, so here we go. So this is a little bit of this is an area where I sort of try to explain Minecraft sort of circuits, and we went into the code. So we get to the kind of this area here where we've got the command blocks, and the command blocks are something that Mojang's kind of introduced, and they're slowly kind of uh, dribbling out kind of more information, more things you can do with command blocks.
Hmm.
Originally you can actually just say this says it's a hello world. So if I press the button down there, it's almost it just says that within the chat area,
Alright.
and I don't know if that comes.
It does.
Yeah. So there you go. So within that and that, if you right click on the block, it opens up the console command, and you can kind of see how simple it is. It's a single kind of line, and it says say
Hmm.
space hello world. You can say anything you like,
Okay, yeah.
and of course you can kind of put you can put adventure messages, quest messages, and all that kind of stuff within those kind of things, and they can be triggered when your players do something.
Right.
Uh, and that's the next thing I want to look at, which is kind of how do we trigger things and how do we kind of do things like that. So if you're familiar with things like Scratch
Hmm.
and other kind of computational things, we look at kind of things that are called conditional statements. And this is an example of a conditional statement in front of us here. So we've got this command block in front of us connected to a comparator, and then that's connected to a lamp. And at the moment it's on. Um, so that's it's this is obviously done a test, and if we right click it, you can kind of see inside the console command, you can see it says /test4,
Hmm.
and then at p, which is target the nearest player, and then we've got a little open square bracket which is r equals 2.
Hmm.
And what r equals 2 mean is test for if the player is within the radius of 2 of the block.
Okay.
Okay, and then to test for that, you have to give it a power source. So you click the button, and if it's true, then it turns on. If it's false, then it turns off. So so we're away, and it's off. And if you get close to it, within 2 blocks, kind of snuggle up to it, uh, and give it a click, then it should turn on.
Alright, yeah.
So one of the simplest conditional statements we can make. And there are and it gets more advanced from that, but I can teach kind of a 7-year-old this, and they can go, oh right, okay, I get that.
Hmm.
And then we can move on, because if we could do things like a radius, we can have automatic doors. So as you walk towards a door, it can detect the player and automatically open iron doors, for example.
Okay, yeah.
And we can also do other things with that as well. We can also do things like, so you can do a ranked system. So say you've got XP, so it can test for XP. So basically,
Mm.
those people who've got higher XP, it will open the door for, but those people who've got lower XP, the door will stay shut. So
Okay, yeah, yeah.
on a game making kind of thing, you can open up different rooms or different areas, depending on how people progress.
Very
And that
good.
idea of that idea of progression is quite is a game feature, but also I think it also features in education as well. To progress to the next level of learning, you need
Mm.
to have learned something along the way,
Yeah.
and that's one of the ways of doing it. And even within something like Minecraft EDU, you could do something like this where you can give XP to players too.
Right.
So you can give and that's going to be one of the commands, and that should be quite interesting.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So the next one, I mean, that's just if then, and then the
Yeah.
next one is if else. So basically we got, and I like this stuff because it uses a kind of the old-fashioned redstone logic.
Hmm.
So basically we've got a signal coming through here through the first command block, and that's lighting up that light, which is inverting the redstone torch on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So this is saying if, and it's positive. So we've tested it for, and it's got a positive. So it's not doing the then, which is the lamp at the back. The lamp at the back is the then, and the lamp
Okay.
at the front is the if I'm within a radius of 2, then turn this on. So if we move away and I click it, it turns the back one on.
Right.
So we can actually get a signal from a negative and a signal from a positive. And of course, we're just turning lamps on, but what we could be turning on is more command blocks and more complexity as we kind of program Minecraft.
Yeah. All right. It's getting interesting.
Yeah. So the next thing is now updating here doesn't quite work. Let's show a different way of updating. So updating in something like uh, Scratch, you could have a loop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So over here, what we've been doing is we've been saying we've got to press a button to make something active.
Right.
But what we need to do now is how do we make it automatic? And one of the ways of making something automatic is to create a pulse signal. And you can create pulse signals with redstone like this. So this is a nice clock, okay, called a redstone clock. And what I'm doing, I'm putting a torch underneath this, which is powering this block on top. And then I'm going to put a redstone repeater and put it back a tick. And then that powers this block here, which will send a signal down to this redstone at the bottom here. And so now what you've got is a signal that's rolling around these 3 blocks,
Mm-hmm.
which gives a kind of nice slow pulse.
Right.
And we can see the redstone pulse here.
Mm-hmm.
So every time it's pulsing, it's powering this command block, which is testing for whether a player is within the radius.
Mm-hmm.
So if we move away from that, you'll see that the light goes off.
Yeah.
And if we move towards it, we can see that the light goes on.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of your automatic door opening system.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
What nice. Now to do this, if I were to not have this tick, one tick back, the torch, it would overclock a little bit and the torch would burn out. So you always have to, it's a good way of slowing things down, having that kind of redstone repeater set at least one tick back. And you could even slow it down even further by setting it 3 ticks back as well. So that's one of the ways of doing that.
Very nice.
So that's your looping. How do we get things to loop? And of course, these are all on my single player thing. And these ones down here are rapid clocks, but they don't really work very well on a server for lots of reasons. So I'm going to have to go around and replace them. But essentially, this does the same thing. This is an OR gate.
Mm-hmm.
So this means that, this command block on the left says is the player within 2, and this one says isn't the player in 2. And again, if either of those OR are true, then we'll get an output. Okay.
Right.
And then so that's OR, and then the next one is and I love this one because it's really interesting to see how it kind of works. So we need both signals to
Mm-hmm.
create to turn this redstone torch on at the back.
Right.
And you can kind of see how that kind of works. So basically, these will send a signal through to that this block of wool, which in turn will turn this torch off and have to turn this torch off. So if both torches are turned off, then this bit of redstone in the middle will turn off, and that will stop inverting the torch at the back, and then that will finally send a signal through to this lamp at the back here.
So that's kind of like it'd be kind of like a teamwork puzzle if you had 2 people.
Yeah, you could get people. I mean, you could replace these blocks with even, with pressure plates, so people could just have to stand on a pressure plate. But if you
Right.
didn't have pressure plates, then you could have hoppers, and you could fill things up with hoppers, and you could do all sorts of stuff with this. Yeah, you could. We've got this. Could also test for a scoreboard as well. And the scoreboard is the next thing I'm going to show you, which is where things get really crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of them, and I've seen the back ends of them, and they look very
Yeah.
complicated.
They are and they aren't. What we've got here, we've got kind of a setup. And if you, I think, let's just have a look inside here. So scoreboard add game roll counter. Okay, so is that my reset? Yeah, let's reset everything. And I'm just gonna press this button here, and then I'm gonna just add a variable. Now, do you see you've got a counter on your right hand side?
Yes, yes, I do.
Is it okay? And it's got your name?
It's got your name on it.
Got my name. Okay, so maybe I haven't put you in there. Okay, but anyway, why don't you have a press of that setup game var,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which is the button, and then I'll just add a number to that.
Oh, sorry, press the button.
Oh yeah,
Sorry.
the button up. Yeah. And I'll just add a number. There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
there we go. Yeah, yeah.
So what it does is if we look inside this first command block, we see that we've got something that says / scoreboard, which is like, hey, I want to make a scoreboard objective. Okay, so we're going to make a scoreboard objective. We're going to add, and then we've got three things. We've got something called game var, and that's what I'm calling it. Okay, so that's my kind of special code name for it.
Mm-hmm.
It comes under the distinction of a dummy variable. Now in Minecraft is tracking loads of different things all at the same time. It's tracking your health, player health. It's tracking kind of your saturation of food. It's tracking all these kind of game things that are actually in the game. Minecraft is tracking, and we can actually track them too. But they've also given us a new one called the dummy variable, and this means we can add any number, anything to this variable. And for example, what I'm doing right now is I'm just creating a variable called game var. Mm-hmm. So it's a dummy variable, and then the last thing says counter. The counter is the friendly name that you'll see if we ever display it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna press done. Now, if we go to the back one over here, the one behind it, which says display the scoreboard, if we right click on that, to display your scoreboard, these scoreboards will be kept invisible. We can say scoreboard objectives set display sidebar. We've got three areas where we can display our variables if we need to at all. Mm-hmm. We've got the sidebar, which is that one on the right. We've got one above your head, which is quite cool. So you have your name, and then underneath you can have your a number or whatever. And we can have if you press tab, you can kind of see who's online. Well, that will also give will give variables as well. So for kind of fighting games and things like that, you can have player kills and all sorts of stuff, which is quite fun.
Can you have sidebar and on top of your head?
You can't. Yeah, not yet anyway.
That's fine.
But you can oscillate between the two. You can have with different variables if you like. Mm-hmm. So for example, you can have a sidebar with saying one variable, and then you can have above your head saying another variable.
Okay, yeah, got it.
Okay, so I mean I've just done a water puzzle, which is basically how to estimate water within a house. And what we do is people put bottles of water down hoppers, and as they're counted as they go down the hopper. And that gives the player a score about how many liters of water they've estimated within flushing the toilet, or whether they've been kind of doing things like using a hose or washing a car. And then when they get back to the teacher area, the teacher presses a button and it displays the score above everybody else's heads. And you can't see your own head, so it kind of encourages people to then start talking to each other about what score they've got. And also in the chat, I display in the chat what the national average is for water. For that particular use, so you can kind of people start to talk about, compare and contrast things, and look to each other to kind of think about, well, what did you get, what did I get, and stuff like that. So it encourages discussion, and but also we can do things like, we can give player scores as well. So I mean, this is extremely powerful for doing all sorts of different things, and it's really the tip of the iceberg as far as what Minecraft can potentially do, and the kind of interesting games that we can start to make.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So the next two here are adding to the variable, and if we right click it again, it's really simple. It says scoreboard, and then we want to change the thing, which is the players, and then we want to add at p with a we're going to add we're going to add one. Well, we're going to add a variable, a player within a radius of 5, whatever the variable is, which is game var, and we're going to add one.
Okay.
So if
Yeah.
I were to change that, if I were to change that to 10 and press done, and then right click the button, you can see it goes up. It goes up to you on 10 because you're the at p. Now the at p and the at use at r and at a does this. So it says at p targets the nearest player. Okay. So if I wanted to target everybody, I would just change it to at a,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I right click it, it adds the numbers to everybody on that score, and you can see on the right hand side the scoreboard going up.
Yeah.
So the syntax for kind of this kind of coding is a little bit, you have to learn it, and you
Yeah.
have to, and and people are learning it by watching videos on YouTube, and by kind of and by looking at kind of the wiki and doing the Minecraft stuff. And I've learned it through watching videos. And there's a great guy called Dragnos, and he makes some amazing videos and does amazing things with all this kind of stuff. And so that's how I've been learning all this stuff. And then, of
Mm.
course, making a world here to test it out with, and having fun that kind of way. So there's, and then the next one is the scoreboard players remove. So we've only got two things at the moment. I was hoping for a times, and having a more than and a less than, but presently we don't have that. However, we can kind of, with being clever with command blocks, you can transfer scores and you can do some simple mathematics, but it's a bit fiddly at the moment. So I'm hoping that they'll change that in future updates.
Yeah, it's
Um,
great. That scoreboard system is great. I haven't looked into the programming behind it. I've seen a
yeah,
lot of them in different uses in different worlds,
yeah,
but no, I'm just thinking in my own brain now what that could be used for. I'm sure like
yeah,
many kids around the world have created just these games within Minecraft that they just play with
yeah,
their friends, and just to kind of randomly just kind of run through obstacle courses and hit a button, just simple
yeah,
things like that,
exactly. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Things like that would be great, and doing kind of mazes and stuff like that is
Mm.
is quite fun. And I think kind of actually making games is to challenge people to make the best kind of small mini game, and to
Mm.
kind of constrain players as well, within a small-ish area. That helps people kind of with their design process and with their
Mhm.
kind of thinking as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, all this kind of stuff really
And
is
it's
really engaging.
Yeah, and it's a big rage now. The last year or so is getting kids into programming.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think obviously that Minecraft obviously blends the two worlds together very nicely.
yeah, yeah. So there were a lot of maps, game making maps. Like there's a working Pac-Man game, which is astonishing.
Yeah.
And other things like that. So yeah, there's all sorts of potential for that, and that's what uh, my random dungeon is all about. It's kind of doing it's using those some mechanics to create an engaging game for people to play.
Yeah.
Um, and it's funny because this coming weekend is there's a kind of a global game making competition called Ludum Dare,
Oh
and
yeah.
Ludum Dare gives you 72 hours to come up with a game, and sort of code it, make it. Well, you don't even have to code it. You can even make a board game and submit it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it encourages people to work collaboratively. And again, that's partly why I've set this place up, because it's like, well, there's a guy in Australia I would like to work with. There's a guy in Luxembourg I want to work with, and Minecraft is that perfect place for someone like me. And I live rurally in Cumbria,
Mhm.
um, to collaborate with really interesting people from around the world and make games and make things. In Minecraft is perfect for that vehicle, and there are other ways of doing it, as well. But this is where I'm at the moment, I suppose.
Awesome. So, is there any other areas around? This is a good introduction to
Yeah.
the.
Well, let's go back to our TP area.
All right.
And let's see if the TP works.
Well, let's just check
Um,
that out.
yeah. Um, so we could. I mean, I could. Well, it'd be nice to show you the body and to have a little look at that because that's it's a be nice thing to end on, I think.
All right.
So I'll try right clicking that
All right. I'll try right clicking it.
the button.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, did it work?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, cool. I can't see you,
Yeah,
but
I'm right here. I'll just follow
okay,
you.
cool. Oh yeah, I can see you now. So you've updated. Right. So just yeah, just follow me. There's obviously a red line along the bottom, but if we fly up, you'll see the end of the torso ahead.
Whoa. What is going on here?
Is it not there's some bits that aren't rendering, but they'll render in. It's just so
so
big.
massive.
Yeah. And if you come over the top, you'll be able to fly above the body. So this is a human body, um, made from, well, kind of put back together using Minecraft. So basically, it's called the Visible Human Project, and it's in America, and they released scans of the human body. And I
Okay.
took slices of those scans and turned them into Minecraft slices, and then kind of put the whole thing back together. And at first, I was doing it by hand. I was kind of using MC Edit and doing it one at a time, and it was taking a long time.
I bet.
And yeah, and then there's a guy called Adrian Brightmore who I think I kind of said, well, this is taking ages. I can't believe it. And he said, oh, well, tell me what you want to do, and I'll write some code. And he actually wrote a filter for me for MC Edit that looks what the filter basically does is it looks at. There we go. It's starting to render in. It is massive. It looks at a folder of images, and then it will turn those into schematics and then place them in a line, which was just astonishing and sped up the whole process. But yeah, so this is basically so I turned it into a map. It's available for download at Planet Minecraft. So anybody can actually download this particular model, and you spawn into a little kind of medical bay area. If it doesn't spawn in, what I suggest is just to sort of drop down and sort of jump on it, and it'll spawn in for you. And people have been playing this as kind of an adventure map, as a hardcore map, trying to survive within the body using the kind of blocks that are available.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm
Wow,
just
it's humongous.
yeah, yeah.
So you can go inside it.
Yeah, there's empty lung space inside there as well. So if you kind of go about where the lungs would be, you can kind of see there's hollow areas where the lungs would have been.
Whoa. I'm somewhere. Yeah, I think I'm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It kind of gets very messy in there. Um, yeah, so I mean, the for me this is about medical imagery and using imagery in a way that using medical imagery within Minecraft and kind of making things out of that. And I'm hopefully going to be making another body, but much more about an adventure. And I've been talking to a few people, hopefully trying to get some grant money to do the human brain or different organs as well,
Mhm.
so we can actually go and investigate this stuff. So and working with a medical practitioner as well. So looking at kind of that scanned medical things,
Mhm.
objects, the human objects, and then turning them into Minecraft objects that are really on a massive scale. So we get that kind of different perspective. So we can kind of do some, and it might inspire people. That's what I'm hoping,
Right.
and for learning and kind of also generate a level of inquiry and also get people to think, well, if he made this, how do I make this?
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, to make stuff like this, you have to do research and you have to develop some skills and you have to ask questions, and it's all those kind of things I think for me make this kind of quite a rich educational project in one way, and kind of just again for me it was kind of an artistic endeavor
Yeah.
to kind of create something like this,
That's
and
amazing.
now and to put it online.
It's amazing. Yeah, I can see like the kids would be just crazy over this. Really go insane just to do exploring of it, you know?
Yeah, and then to try, I mean, we've done things like I've got people to go in. I mean, I run an after school club,
Hmm.
Minecraft club, where we've got about 10 kids coming on a Tuesday, and they've gone in and they've done things like put signs up to label different parts of the body,
Yeah, that's initially just
and
what
to, and
I
to
was
kind of
thinking. Yeah, just
yeah,
off the
and to
bat,
kind of or like where are you? I'm up the nose. People have made little camps in the nostril areas and in different kind of cavity parts. Yeah, so
could link
that's
it in with Gulliver's Travels.
yeah. It was very much when I first released the video, I said it was a Lilliputian medical center, and this is what we'd done to Gulliver. We'd sliced him up and put him in a big tank of water. Um, so yeah, I mean, and essentially that is, I mean, the Visible Human Project. Basically the this guy who was a real person was sort of given to science. He was a convict, a murderer,
Ah,
killed by lethal injection, which I didn't know at the time. I kind of found that out later, and so and then his body was used and has been extensively used for medical science. And so there's a little an MPEG um, video of a kind of the slices, an animated slice through this body, and I took that MPEG and I converted it into images, and I used each of those images. So I've done the whole body, but I just for this project I just used the torso.
that's amazing. And there's so much to think about regarding things like this, and the implications they have for for medicine and education.
Yeah, definitely. And it's that, yeah, it's thinking about, it's seeing the image. And that's why I kind of kept the slices open as well. So you could fly in and kind of think about what this might look like. I mean, it was interesting as well. I mean, I might put on the side of the walls at some point, and I love those images, that kind of, that's a slice of a brain, you can kind of see um, the shapes of different shapes as it kind of just sliced
Mm,
down the Z section.
right.
So yeah, so that's for me it was quite cool.
That's awesome. It's fantastic. And
I
yeah,
think it's just about
yeah, I'm just again, you've got me thinking about what the implications are for my students, regarding, I'm sure at some point during their student life they're going to be learning about the human body and things like that,
yeah, yeah,
trying to make it immersive, there's only so many 2D images you can look at
yeah.
to grab the concept
Well,
of.
you can. Yeah, I mean, I'm working at the moment on some tutorial videos, and you probably know my 101
Mm.
ideas for Minecraft learners. So
Hmm.
that those videos are coming out. And one of the things you can do is you can go to some like what used to be Google Sketchup. I think it's Trimble now,
Right.
but the Google Warehouse, 3D Warehouse, and you can download a 3D object, and it might be the heart.
Mm.
And then we could take that 3D object and we could push it through a kind of a voxelizer and turn it into a Minecraft schematic, and then have that heart at quite a large scale
Mm.
that your students can then
Explore.
label,
Yeah.
explore, just look at, you
Right.
know, and kind of and then look at an image of it as well, and kind of start, when you can fly around something,
Mm.
you get a different perspective on it, and that's what Minecraft is really good at, I think. On scale like this, and I suppose this is why I wanted to show it you in kind of live, if you like,
Yeah.
because it is kind of because up close it's kind of weird, but as you fly further away, you can kind of see
Yeah.
the contours and stuff, and it kind of makes sense visually.
Yeah, it does. Well, that's fascinating and amazing, and I think we can leave it at that. But I'm sure you know, you come up with different stuff every couple of weeks, so
Yeah,
it's probably,
yeah,
I think it's been long overdue a second visit actually. But
no worries.
yeah, I'll probably come back to you in the new year. I'm sure you've got a couple more things up your sleeve coming up.
Yeah, I'm inundated with projects at the moment, so it's going to be really interesting this next year. In fact, is going to be really interesting for me, and to see what's coming up as far as what we can do with Minecraft and what's possible. So
Well,
thanks.
no, thanks for coming back. It's always good to see what you're doing, and yeah, definitely, I'll keep in touch with you, and we'll see what we can come up with next. Thanks again, Adam.
No worries. Thank you. Ta-ra.
All right, so that's the end of this episode, and we'll see you in the next episode of Mind Chat. See ya.